In the small, quiet town of Maple Grove, early autumn had arrived with a gentle grace. The crisp air carried the rustle of amber leaves dancing to the soft tune of the wind, and the distant scent of pine mingled with the earthy aroma of fallen foliage. Every corner of Maple Grove exuded a timeless tranquility, a stark contrast to the inner turmoil of one man who wandered its streets. Edward Rayner, a retired soldier in his early 60s, was a man marked by both the pride of his past and the burden of his present. Despite his battle-worn exterior and the tremors that now afflicted his hands, a cruel reminder of the Parkinson's disease that had gradually crept into his life, Edward maintained a strict daily routine, a vestige of his disciplined military career. It was on one such crisp autumn afternoon that Edward set out on his customary walk along the town's winding lanes. His footsteps, though measured and careful, carried the weight of memories too numerous to recount. As he strolled past a row of weathered houses and through a park where the vibrant colors of fall lent an almost magical hue to the landscape, he found solace in the familiar sights and sounds of his hometown. Yet, fate had something unforeseen in store for him that day, a quiet encounter that would soon redefine his lonely existence. As Edward passed a narrow alley behind an old service station, his attention was abruptly captured by a sight that made his heart falter. Lying amidst a scattered heap of discarded boxes and debris, partially hidden by a dented dumpster, was a dog. The creature was a large, noble-looking German shepherd with a coat that, despite being matted and dirty, still hinted at the proud lineage of its kind. But what struck Edward most was the unmistakable scar running along the dog's flank, a scar that mirrored one from his own past, a silent testament to battles fought side by side. The dog's eyes, though dim and filled with neglect, held a glimmer of recognition, as if whispering, "I remember you." Edward knelt beside the forsaken animal, his aged yet steady hands reaching out with both caution and compassion. The dog lay weak, its once powerful body diminished by neglect and suffering. Edward's heart tightened with a surge of both nostalgia and sorrow. Memories of his own military days flooded back, days when he had fought alongside a loyal canine partner who had shared in the hardships of war and the joys of victory. That long-lost companion now lived in his eyes as this stray, battered dog. Without hesitation, despite the tremor in his hand and the physical strain that Parkinson's had imposed upon him, Edward scooped up the fragile creature in his arms. Every step back home was a struggle against the biting autumn chill and his own faltering strength, but the sense of duty and love for his old friend drove him onward. He wrapped the dog in his worn checkered jacket, whispering words of reassurance that mingled with the soft rustling of the falling leaves. The bond between them was palpable, a bond forged in the crucible of shared service and eternal loyalty. Arriving at the modest veterinary clinic on the outskirts of town, Edward gently laid the dog on a cot in the examination room. Dr. Marianne Cole, a kind and empathetic veterinarian with a quiet resolve, greeted him with concern as she examined the canine. The examination was thorough, revealing that the dog was severely malnourished, suffering from multiple untreated injuries, and clearly abandoned. Dr. Cole frowned as she read the dog's scant medical records, which were in fact non-existent. No one had any record of him, a deliberate erasure by an institution that had once relied on his services. The dog, whose eyes held both pain and quiet defiance, was evidently discarded without ceremony after years of loyal service. Edward listened silently as Dr. Cole explained the extent of the injuries and the long road to recovery ahead. The veteran's heart ached as he learned of the neglect inflicted upon his once trusted companion. In that solemn moment, a renewed sense of purpose ignited within him. He resolved, silently yet firmly, that he would not allow this injustice to go unnoticed. Despite his own ongoing battle with physical limitations and the creeping tremors that often betrayed his determination, Edward knew that his duty now was to restore the honor and dignity of the dog he recognized so well from a past that had defined his life. That evening, back in his modest home on the outskirts of Maple Grove, Edward sat at a battered desk and composed a heartfelt message. With deliberate care, he recounted the story of the neglected military dog he had discovered, the dog whose loyalty had once been unquestioned and whose scars spoke of a shared history on distant battlefields. Edward's words, imbued with the raw emotion of a man who had known both the horrors of war and the solace of companionship, soon found their way online. Within hours, his post had gone viral. The small town of Maple Grove, and soon the wider world, was stirred by the story of this loyal soldier and his fallen comrade. Social media users, veterans, and animal lovers alike expressed their outrage at the abandonment of such a dedicated military working dog. Hashtags like "Honor Our Heroes" and "Forgotten Furry Friends" trended across various platforms. The story sparked a national outcry, with countless people demanding accountability from the institutions responsible for the dog's neglect. In that moment, Edward, a man who had always shunned the limelight, found himself thrust into the center of a movement, a reluctant symbol of loyalty, sacrifice, and the call for justice. Over the following weeks, as public support swelled and donations poured into the veterinary clinic, Edward dedicated himself to nursing the dog back to health. In his humble kitchen, where a battered kettle simmered over a low flame and the aroma of freshly baked bread mingled with the scent of old wood, Edward prepared simple meals for his companion. The routine was reminiscent of his old days in the military, a disciplined schedule of care and attention that allowed both man and animal to slowly mend their wounded spirits. Every morning, with the first light of dawn casting long shadows over the quiet town, Edward and the dog, whom he lovingly named Sable, began their walks together. The act of stepping outside, of breathing in the cool, crisp autumn air, became a healing ritual for them both. Edward, though burdened by the physical tremors of Parkinson's, found solace in the steady presence of Sable by his side. In the silent communion of their shared routine, a fragile hope began to blossom. The dog's once dull eyes brightened, and the physical scars on his body were gradually replaced by signs of recovery and renewed vitality. Sable's progress was slow but steady, a testament to the enduring power of care and compassion. And as he healed, so too did Edward. In the quiet moments of their daily walks, when the only sounds were the rustle of leaves and the gentle murmur of the wind, the retired soldier began to find strength in their partnership. The weight of his memories, the ghosts of battles long past, began to lift ever so slightly. With each step, he rediscovered a sense of purpose, a belief that the bonds forged in the heat of conflict could one day heal even the deepest wounds. One crisp early autumn afternoon, Maple Grove hosted its annual Harvest Festival, a celebration of community, gratitude, and the simple joys of life. Amid the cheerful chatter and the aroma of spiced cider and pumpkin pie, an unexpected incident unfolded that would forever change the lives of Edward and Sable. In the midst of the festivities, a sudden commotion erupted near the festival grounds. A small child, wandering too close to the edge of a decorative fountain, found herself in peril as the crowd's attention wavered. In that split second, Sable, despite his age and lingering physical limitations, sprang into action with a burst of instinct and courage. With a determined bark and swift, measured movements, the once neglected military dog darted forward and intercepted a falling child, nudging her to safety just as she teetered on the brink of danger. Gasps of astonishment swept through the gathered crowd, followed by a wave of applause and tears of relief. Edward, who had witnessed the heroic act with a heart full of both pride and disbelief, knelt beside Sable, embracing him as though to express every unsaid word of gratitude. In that fleeting moment, the bond between man and dog, tempered by hardship and united by loyalty, became the talk of the town. Sable's heroic act, caught on camera by a bystander and shared widely across social media, catapulted the duo into national recognition as symbols of service, loyalty, and the healing power of companionship. Inspired by the overwhelming public response and the undeniable strength of the bond he shared with Sable, Edward began to envision a mission that would honor not only his loyal friend, but also the countless other military working dogs and aging veterans who had been forgotten by the systems they had once served. With a quiet determination that belied his physical challenges, He resolved to create a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting retired service animals and the veterans who had sacrificed so much in their service to the nation. Edward set to work with a fervor fueled by hope and necessity. He met with local community leaders, reached out to veteran groups, and collaborated with animal welfare organizations. Slowly, the idea took shape, a beacon of light in a world that too often overlooked the sacrifices of those who had given everything. Sable's image, scar and all, was chosen as the emblem of this burgeoning movement, a living reminder of loyalty, bravery, and the promise that no warrior, human or animal, should be left behind. Throughout this process, Edward's own health continued to present challenges. Parkinson's disease made even the simplest tasks a struggle, and there were moments when the weight of his responsibilities threatened to overwhelm him. Yet in those moments of weakness, he found strength in the steadfast companionship of Sable. The dog, who had once been a casualty of neglect, now served as his silent guardian and constant reminder of the enduring spirit of loyalty and honor. Months later, as the non-profit began to take root and transform lives, Edward received an invitation to attend a prestigious award ceremony honoring acts of service and compassion. Held in a grand hall in the heart of a bustling city, the event was a celebration of those who had risen above adversity to make a lasting impact on society. Edward, dressed in a modest but neatly pressed suit, attended the ceremony with Sable trotting faithfully at his side, a striking image of unity and perseverance. The ceremony was filled with heartfelt speeches and tearful accolades, but it was the moment when Sable was called to the stage that brought the entire audience to its feet. The veteran, standing proudly beside his old friend, recounted the journey they had shared from the moment of their fateful reunion on a cold autumn day to the heroic act at the harvest festival that had captured the hearts of a nation. With measured emotion, Edward spoke of the deep bond that had sustained him through his darkest days, a bond forged in the crucible of war and tempered by time and hardship. As a soldier, I learned that true strength is not measured solely by the battles we win, but by the love and loyalty we give and receive, Edward said, his voice steady despite the tremor that occasionally betrayed his resolve. Today, I stand before you, not as a man defined by my scars, but as one who has been given a second chance, a chance to honor those who served alongside us, both human and animal. Sable, my loyal friend, is a testament to the enduring spirit of service. His courage and sacrifice remind us that every life is precious and every act of kindness has the power to change the world. The hall erupted in applause, and in that moment, the story of Edward and Sable transcended the boundaries of their personal struggles. Their journey had become a rallying cry for compassion, a call to action for communities nationwide to support the men, women, and animals who had given so much in the name of duty. In the years that followed the award ceremony, the non-profit, now known as the Legacy of Honor Foundation, grew steadily, extending its reach to support retired military working dogs and aging veterans across the country. Edward, despite the unyielding challenges of his physical condition, dedicated himself tirelessly to the cause. His once solitary walks now took on new meaning as he traveled to speak at community events, sharing the story of how a chance encounter with a neglected dog had rekindled his own hope and ignited a movement. Sable, though older and bearing the visible marks of a life spent in both battle and neglect, remained by Edward's side as a living symbol of resilience. Together, they attended fundraisers, community gatherings, and even national events that celebrated the contributions of veterans and their canine comrades. Each public appearance served as a reminder that healing could be found in the unlikeliest of places, that even a life marred by hardship could be transformed by the simple, profound act of compassion. As the foundation's influence spread, stories emerged of other veterans and retired service animals who, inspired by Edward and Sable's journey, found new paths to recovery and fulfillment. The ripple effect of their bond reached far and wide, providing practical support, emotional healing, and a renewed sense of purpose to those who had long been forgotten. In every testimonial and every act of kindness, the message was clear. Loyalty, sacrifice, and love were forces that could mend even the deepest wounds. One crisp autumn evening, as the golden light of dusk bathed the quiet town of Maple Grove, Edward and Sable took their habitual walk along a familiar path lined with towering pines and softly falling leaves. The world around them exuded peace, a stark contrast to the turbulent memories of war and loss that had once defined their lives. With every step, Edward felt the steady reassurance of Sable's presence, a silent promise that no matter how frail the body might become, the spirit of loyalty and honor could never be diminished. In the distance, the town's community center, now a hub for veterans and their families, stood as a testament to the transformative power of compassion. Here, programs designed to support the physical and emotional healing of retired service members flourished, and the legacy of those who had served was honored with reverence and gratitude. Edward's nonprofit had become a beacon of hope, shining brightly in a world that had once seemed shrouded in darkness. As they neared the center, a group of children playing in the gentle glow of streetlights paused to greet the pair. Their eyes, filled with wonder and innocence, reflected the stories they had heard of the brave soldier and his faithful companion. In that simple moment of connection, Edward's heart swelled with pride and gratitude. The journey of healing, a journey that had begun with the rediscovery of a long-lost friend, had now become a source of inspiration for an entire community. Standing at the entrance of the center, Edward paused to reflect on the twists of fate that had brought him and Sable together. The scars of the past, once symbols of loss and sorrow, had transformed into emblems of resilience and hope. In that quiet, reflective pause, Edward silently vowed that he would continue to honor the bond they shared by championing the rights and well-being of all those who had served, human and animal alike. The night deepened, and as the stars began to twinkle in the clear autumn sky, Edward and Sable made their way home. The path ahead, though uncertain, was now illuminated by the promise of tomorrow, a tomorrow, where every act of loyalty and every gesture of kindness could spark a movement of healing and renewal. Years later, the story of Edward Rayner and Sable remained etched in the collective memory of Maple Grove and beyond. The legacy of Honor Foundation had grown into a respected institution, continuously supporting retired military working dogs and aging veterans with unwavering dedication. Edward, though still grappling with the effects of Parkinson's, had become a revered figure, a symbol of steadfast duty and the enduring power of compassion. Sable, now an aged but dignified veteran of both the battlefield and life's harsh realities, continued to bask in the gentle affection of those whose lives he had touched. His scar, once a reminder of battles long past, had become a mark of honor, a testament to the loyalty that had defined his existence and in turn had helped heal the wounds of a brave soldier. At an annual celebration honoring the Foundation's accomplishments, a bronze statue of Sable was unveiled in the town square. The statue, carved with intricate detail, captured the essence of a loyal companion whose silent courage had sparked a national movement for justice and compassion. Edward, standing before the gathering crowd with tears glistening in his eyes, spoke softly, yet with unmistakable strength. "This is not just a monument to one dog's bravery," he said. "It is a celebration of the bond between those who serve and those who serve alongside us. Let this image remind us all that loyalty, in its purest form, is a healing power that can mend even the deepest wounds." And so, under the vast starlit sky, the retired soldier and his faithful dog stepped into the future together, as symbols of a bond that transcended time, pain, and the passage of seasons, a bond that would forever remind the world that in loyalty and love there is always hope, and in hope there is healing.